So hi, good afternoon everyone. I hope you are doing great. So today we are going to talk about Devops automation. A couple of new things are there. So hopefully you guys are ready, and I'm able to see few people here in the chat window. So whatever questions you have, I'll be answering you on the direct. Okay, so let's start the session. All set. So now, so hello everyone. Can you hear me? Just type on the chat window. Good evening all. I believe you can hear me. So if you can hear me, please type on the chat window that yes, you can hear me without any problem. Let me check my audio source. Yes, wonderful. Great. Fine. So all right. So now, first of all, I'm just expecting any questions regarding last session. Till now, if you have something, so you can ask the rest. And there are a couple of questions in the chat window I can see. So the one thing you have to understand and you have to remember is from today, that is 9th of April, so 9th of April till the end date, whatever it is, right? If you wanna internship certificate, right, internship certificate, then there are a couple of rules. First of all, attained all the session, right? Second, complete assignment. Third, complete project, right? And when everything will be fine, so you will get internship and project certificate from us, right? So simply this is what that I wanted to tell you. Now before moving into the agenda of today, we are discussing agenda every day, right? So everything regarding basic we have covered in last 2 days, so basic is done. Now today we are going to start with this new culture, right? Next generation culture, right, of IT industry 4.2, right? So if you don't have any question as of now, so I have a quiz, right? And you can log in from your again mobile phone, that is kahoot.it, and let's have quiz first, then we'll move to the agenda, what we are going to do today. Anyway, still before everything, I can just show you the PDF again, right? And what we are going to talk about today is very simple. That is, we are going to talk about this DevOps, and we are going to start with Docker. Few part of GitHub will be introducing, maybe not today, but maybe from tomorrow, but we'll start from here. Okay, and I hope you all are excited. So now let's log into the quiz, that is kahoot.it. So I'm just starting this one, posting it live. You can join from your phone or anything you want. So I hope you know the rules already, so I don't have to tell you anything, right? So I'm just giving my audio. So I'm waiting for more and more players. So this quiz is based on whatever you did yesterday, right? So it's entirely based on last session. So every day quiz will be based on last session, right? So around 37 players are here. Learning outcome of today will be very exciting. That means you will be really understanding the new thing in the world of containerization, even the new way. Fine. And we have couple of understanding oriented topics, couple of other things. Right, so I think I got around 51 players in the list. I can see in the chat window 57 top chats. So waiting for a few more people, 1 more minute, right? So 52. I hope everything is fine, so I'm gonna start this session of game, right? Wonderful. So here I'm gonna start this. 1 2 3 go, boom. So ये रहा पहला प्रश्न आपकी स्क्रीन पे, and still people are joining. Okay, and done. So this is very much related to yesterday session. So I'm getting answers. Let's see what will be the outcome. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. 61 answers. Read the question carefully. Whoa, wonderful. So 16 correct answers only. How to check public IP from Linux terminal? If you remember, ipconfig and ifconfig can give you only private IP, not the public IP, right? So that means sorry, that means the right answer is the C one that I can show you just. So let's say if anyway, if I'm opening my terminal either local or somewhere else, if I do ifconfig, it will show me all the IP address that is associated to my laptop or server, right? But if I do curl ifconfig.me, it is going to show me that IP 45 something something, and that we can also cross check by just using what is my IP address. See, 45 127 45 120. So the right answer is that one only, C part. And let's say nice. So we have good audience. Anyway, now here I'm going to start with the question number second, and let's go with the flow. So the question is RPM stands for in Linux. So when are we talking about Linux, what exactly RPM stands for? So Kahoot ID is written in the game here in the very bottom if you are watching the screen. Nice. Maximum correct answers are here. Red Hat package management, so that is your RPM stand for exactly, right? So it's very simple, right? Because Red Hat uses that package. Fine. So I'm just going to next. Let's see the ranking. Okay. And next one, third. So router is which layer device in OSI model? So we had this discussion yesterday. So maybe for some people who don't know OSI model, but I have given some idea, right? Router is which layer device. Boom, maximum correct answers. Wonderful guys, you guys are awesome, right? So layer 3, that is network layer. So router that you are using, so your router is a layer 3 device, and layer 3 is nothing, it's a network layer, right, in OSI model. Anyway, so first is the correct answer, and I'm just clicking on the next. Great. So Jayesh is on fire. Good job, Jayesh. And next one. So DHCP stands for in networking. I hope you remember the session. We talked about the same yesterday. Boom. So the right answer is dynamic host configuration protocol. So I am about to die because 56 correct answers, seriously. It's wonderful, really wonderful, right? So let's see the ranking. Oh, nuclear is on the list. Good job. So I'm going to hit it next, and that is right here. How to check permissions of a directory in Linux. So I think you can answer it in a very much better way. Last 1 second. Boom. Wonderful. So maximum correct answers, 47 correct answers. When you want to check the permission of a directory, so the right one is here. So I can show you right answer. And let's say if I have this directory ls-ld/root. So if there is a directory, I need to put -d. If there is a file, let's say etc issue, so I need to give L, right? So this was the session. I think I already discussed yesterday about the same. Anyway, but good job. So ranking is getting changed. Okay, 6th. Which one is software installer for Mac OS? Ding, ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, nice music by the way. Oh no, I love it. So we have discussed about the same in the last session. You don't have to write answer in the chat window now. Just click it. Whoa, nice, good one. 51 people have given the correct answer, right? So Manoj, that I think we are doing it regularly, right? So maybe you can ask. But if you can see the screen in the bottom left hand bottom corner in the screen, website is written and game pin is also written. Kahoot.it is a website and game pin is written. So you can just log in into your browser with Kahoot.it. Okay. And now next one. Linux has two kind of flavors. You have to select the right flavor. So we have discussed about the same last day. I think in the day one also. Nice. So there's a big one, right? 57 people have given the correct answers. That means you are understanding. It means you are revising the session probably. I'm really happy for all of you, right? And next one, how to delete a user and its data in Linux. Maybe a bit tricky, but nice one. So average answer, right? 31 people have given the correct one. So if you want to delete a user along with the data, right? So whatever user has created the file and folders, so it will be also deleted from, by this command. So the right answer is the second one. Anyway, nice. So Jay is on the top. Good one. Okay, just going next. Boom. Which one is not a file? It's not editor actually, by mistake. And so which one is a file? Is not a file editor. So writing answer on the chat window is not a point, guys. See, 45 people have given the right answer. So if you talk about text editor, so let me tell you something about text editors. So editors, or maybe text editors in Linux, based OS, right? So like in Windows or Linux. So in Windows we have Notepad, that is a graphical editor. In Linux we have gedit, right? Gedit. Likewise, if you want to edit file, but this notepad and gedit need GUI, that means graphical user interface. But in Linux, if somewhere you don't have graphical interface, so rather than using gedit, you can use vi or vim or nano, right, or pico. So many editors. So these all editors are command line, so you can edit file in a black screen or command line without any problem, right? So let's see ranking. So there is a new guy came in the picture, that is wonderful. And let's see, going next. By the way, whosoever, if you're not aware about Kahoot, it is going to matter how fast you are answering. It's not about correct answer all the time, how fast. So size of IPv4 and IPv6 in bytes. So Ankit, you don't have to write answer here, right? It's not a place to show your talent here, right? Just don't do it here. Okay, so 30 correct answers. So IPv4 is having 4 byte size, and IPv6 having 16 bytes size. And this is ranking. Going next. The question is wrong, I believe. How to assign execute permission. How to assign execute permission. So it's execute, by the way. So count this as an execute one. Wonderful. So both second and third options are correct. Second and third, you can assign it by second and third. The here there's a typo, right? So the thing is execute permission. Anyway, so there is no change in the ranking. Okay. Final question. So both answers are correct, either first and third. So even if you have selected first or third, both are correct. I can just show you here. OS release, right? So cat is a program to list out the content of a file, and even etc issue also. So you can also check here. So this is a cat. Cat is like a viewer, or you can just take the content out of it. Okay, and that is finally C. So 1 2 3 top J, this Jayesh and nuclear. So these are all 5 people, but congratulations for all 3 people, right? Wonderful job, guys. And let's turn this off now. I hope you have this credential today itself, so I'm gonna use this. You don't have to log in directly if you don't want to, right? So anyway, it's gonna just work in the same way. Okay, so the agenda of today that we have already discussed, and that is we are going to start with DevOps, right? So according to a research and survey, DevOps is the most hottest job in the market culture of IT industry as of now, right? So here in this thing, so I cannot say DevOps is a technology. DevOps is a culture basically, right? And that culture means how IT industry is going to work in a different way, right? And this DevOps include couple of technologies. So if you talk about tech stack, what exactly DevOps is, we'll be talking more about it, right? Definition is not important as of now, because once you start learning in the same, you'll be getting more and more in-depth knowledge or idea about this culture, right? So this tech stack has couple of branches. So DevOps has a automation engineering. So if you want to join or work as an automation engineer for a company, right? So you can work under this DevOps culture, right? Where automation engineering means you can automate couple of things. So the technologies that you can use for automation is like Terraform. So there is a tool that can automate your cloud or other thing. There is a tool called Ansible. There is a tool or product called Puppet and Chef, and many more likewise, right? Many more options are there. So when I say DevOps is a culture. These days people are using it to make their job easy and fast, and then they have this automation engineering in this tech stack. The second part is monitoring, right? I'm not saying first or second. Couple of people using intelligent monitoring, and they're using ELK or EFK kind of software, or sometimes they are using any Grafana or Prometheus. Couple of more kind of software, and Splunk also they are using. So monitoring is also one of the tech stack of our DevOps culture. And then the third one we have containerization, right? Containerization, and that containerization include, right? Containerization include these things like Docker or other tools like Podman or Rocket, right? And also of course Kubernetes. So there is one more tech stack we call it CI/CD, right? And that CI/CD will include your Git or Jenkins, TeamCity, and many more software, right? So it's a very vast domain, very wide domain. We are basically going to focus on this part. So our main focus is this tech part, we're not going to talk much about this or this, right? Maybe I can give some ideas, but time whatever we have, we will be using that for sure, right? So this is overall agenda of this internship that you're going to use, and you're going to uh, receive that assignments and everything for the same, right? So I'm not directly jumping into the technology, but let's say these days people are using this culture to make their job easier, right? So when I say DevOps, exactly, DevOps means it's a collaboration of two individual teams, like a developer, so it's a dev, right? And I can say operation engineer, right? Who are operation engineer? Generally developers are ones who are writing code, who are preparing software for you. And operation engineer is the one, let's say database engineer or a network engineer or a Linux system engineer or tester, anyone, right, who are not generally into the coding or into the development mode. So we are integrating them together to form a new culture, so that in IT industry they can work collaboratively, right? So they can work in a very much similar way. Okay, but here we have to understand why these two individual domains are merged, right? So I'm again repeating, I'm not going to talk about everything today, because it will take time to understand, right? So when we work like every day, so it is going to hit your mind, yes, exactly, this DevOps is. So right now I'm not committing anything that this is exactly DevOps, but as for the time, it will be there. All right. So let's say to understand, so what we are going to learn. So out of this the green boundary, which one we are going to start? Before that, I am just asking a question, right? And the question is, let's say if you are a developer, right? You're a developer. So I'm just posting here 3 developers, right? And the first developer is Python, second is C, third one Java. So we have 3 developers, right? And you have written the code according to your understanding, any sample code. So I'm not denying. So you have written a code, any sample code. To make this very much clear, I can tell you, to write a code you just need a file editor, that's it. So you can write code in Notepad. Let's say you can write code in every code, right, in Notepad or in gedit or vim or any of the editor you want to use. So IDE is not required, right? So the IDE for just for making our job very easy. Now the question is, if you have written the code, it doesn't matter how many lines it has. If you want to run this code, right, if you want to run this code, what thing you require to test? Run, or I can say test. Just give me answer. What is the minimum thing, or what exactly thing coming in your mind that yes, this will be required to run your code, right? This will be required to run your code. So you are either a Python developer, C or Java, and you are running a code, writing a code to run or test that code. What exactly thing you require? You have to answer in a YouTube chat, whatever you think, right? So I got one answer, that is compiler. Maybe other views, IDE, compiler, interpreter. Nice. I really found a very nice audience. You guys are amazing and wonderful. So maximum answers are correct. maximum answers are correct. So whosoever, if you're talking about IDE is not exactly required. We need only either compiler or interpreter, right? So I got a wonderful answer by Mohni. So if you want to run or test the code, right, the only thing you require is either compiler or interpreter. That's it. So the only thing we require is compiler and interpreter, and that is really amazing. Okay, so whatever answers you have given, it doesn't matter. I got the maximum correct answer from maximum people, so we need only compiler and interpreter, right? So my question was to run or test, not to write the code, right? You can write by using any of the text editor. Now if you really talk about compiler and interpreter, so compiler interpreter will be on top of any operating system, definitely. So for this you need an operating system, and for operating system you will be requiring a hardware, right? So exact thing is, let's say if you guys are a developer of some company and you're writing a code and even you are testing that, that is fine. So when you submit this code to some company, how they test? So they have to figure out what compiler or interpreter you have, they need to require, and to install or maybe configure this compiler and interpreter, we need an operating system, and operating system will be requiring a hardware. So that means we have to prepare this setup. So this is your complete setup, right? So I hope if you agree on the point, whatever I have just written in the whiteboard, right? Just say yes. So your answer is perfectly correct. You need either compiler or interpreter, but compiler interpreter is nothing without operating system, and operating system is nothing without hardware. So you need compiler, that need OS need hardware. So just type yes if you agree on the point on the chat window, so I can just jump into the next one. Okay, wonderful. So I'm getting some answers from a couple of people. So, and you know what, from today onwards we are going to do this magical thing. See, now if I am asking again a question, I'm just putting one layer up. What is that one layer up? Is a very simple question from everyone again. According to your own understanding, how much RAM, CPU and hard disk is required by your compiler and interpreter to run that code? I'm again repeating, how much CPU, RAM or hard disk, only this amount, this thing, CPU, RAM and hard disk, is required by your compiler or interpreter to run the code that you have written. First thing. And how much exactly RAM, CPU and hard disk will be required to install an operating system. So if you want to install OS, so the minimum you have to answer, how much RAM, CPU and hard disk you will require to install an operating system. Let's say forget about operating system for a while, and if you really talk about the compiler or interpreter, so how much CPU, RAM or hard disk will be required to run your code? Just so you have to give two different answers. So I'm just putting this line, how much for only compiler or interpreter, how much for this entire OS. So take your time, maybe 1 second or 2, not more than that, and just type your answer in the chat window of YouTube, right? So less than a GB to RAM code. Vijay is giving some answer, depends on the code, in a very ideal condition, right? So let's say you have a 5 lines of code. If you're not very much, so 10 lines of code we have. 10 lines of code we have, right? So for OS 2 to 4 GB. So I'm getting couple of varieties, right? Definitely. So I'm getting couple of answers. I'm really happy that you are contributing here and you're volunteering in the answer. So let me take it ahead. If let's assume I have only 10 lines of code, and if I talk about compiler or interpreter, I don't think so more than 50 or more than 50 MB RAM will be required to run a normal 10 line of code maximum. If you talk about CPU, 0.01 percentage core, and if you talk about really hard disk, not more than 200 MB, right? Not more than 200 MB. This is max resource consumed by your compiler interpreter in case of this code. But if you really talk about any standard operating system, let's say if in these days, like everybody has a 4 GB RAM, right? So you have 4 GB RAM, you have 2 core CPU, and you have around 50 GB hard disk at least, right? So you need this requirement to run or to install an operating system. So this is exactly at least a bare minimum requirement will be there, right? So here we have to understand, actually my focus was to deploy or run that code, and that code is only just only require that amount of thing, but interpreter compiler is dependent on the OS, and OS is dependent on the hardware, and hardware require that much amount of resources. So that means if you compare this, we are just looking for that small amount of resource, but we are giving that much. We are giving that much. So from the beginning of the history, if we talk about the reality, so let's say about the reality, so we are only looking for this, or the actual need is this, or we are giving that much. Okay, so if I go to in the past history, right, that dark ages time, so in the past how we are doing, see, so if I'll take example of Facebook generally, or I'm taking example of Netflix even, right? So they have a bunch of developers. There are so many developers, and they are writing code. Definitely they are writing code on their own system and they're testing it. But whenever you launch a product, right? When you launch a product, you need to deploy code on some big server, and server need a hardware, an operating system, and then software. So you need hardware first, you need OS, and then that compiler or interpreter or that software to run that code. So you know that, right? If you create a website like Facebook, so that is not going to take that much time or resources. But if you want to launch as a product, so you have to deploy or run that code in a big server so that people can connect, right? So every time, let's say if a company is creating 5 different codes, then they are going to purchase 5 different servers. So simply, if you are launching or maintaining from different codes, you have to purchase different hardware. So what is the problem? The problem is we have a code, but we need to set up that OS, and OS need more resources than the code. So why we are not finding a way where we want to just give or spend that amount of resources that is actually required by the code to test, not by the operating system. So the last point of mine is we are only looking for that amount of resources that is actually required by the code or the program, not by the operating system, because there is a huge gap, right? There is a huge gap in the same, right? Let me take another example that will make you clear, or make your concept clear actually. So let's say if this is me and I'm having my laptop, and on top of this laptop I am having Windows 10, right? And around 16 GB RAM I have, around 4 core CPU I have, around 300 GB SSD hard disk I have. So this is actual configuration of my system, right, of my laptop. Now if I want to run a code that is written in Python, so I can install Python in my Windows 10 and I can run it. The second is I want to run a Java code, so I can install Java platform in my Windows 10 and I can run it. Likewise, if I want to run a C language code, I can install C platform or C software in the Windows 10 machine and I can run that code. And these all resources, these are software not going to take more than a GB. I'm giving maximum resources. 1 GB RAM or very less CPU and hard disk will not consume by all three, even if you try, right? I hope you are agree on the point. So if you are agree on this point, just say yes on the chat window, right? Say yes on the chat window if you agree. So if you are running C, Java, Python, all three platforms parallelly, and you are executing and compiling code, right? So these all platform will not consume more than a GB resource in terms of RAM, hard disk, and very less amount of CPU core from your OS. So if you are agree on the same point, just say yes on the chat window, right? So that I can match my understanding with you. Yeah, you are getting my point. Okay, that is wonderful. That is wonderful. Right? That is wonderful. So nice. So now the next thing is, let's say you are trying to run that code, and when you try to run that code, let's say Python or Java or C, right? And here there is an error. The error is you cannot run Python with Java. So whenever you are running this thing, you are getting some answer or some warning or some error by Windows 10. Sorry bro, you cannot run Java and Python parallelly. That means either Java will be there or Python will be there. So that means there is some conflict, some technical conflict happen, and the conflict says, sorry to inform you, you cannot run, I'm just assuming, I'm not giving any fact, right? You cannot run Java and Python together in this laptop, in this Windows 10, right? So when you got this problem, what you're going to do? And you have to run the code, that is for sure. So running code is important, but for some reason the Windows 10 is throwing that error, or whatever OS you had that is throwing error. You cannot run Python and Java in the same system. So give me answer, what is the solution for you? Right, you tried with everything, right? This is standard error. That means you cannot overcome this because this is a conflict fault by Windows or whatever OS you are using. You cannot run these two things parallelly, for sure. Right, you cannot run, that is for sure. Okay, fine. So what is the solution in that case? You can type your answer in the chat window. We are using Docker, Khushi Bansal, okay, virtual environment, Docker, getting some answers, right? Okay, virtual environment. So couple of people are writing the name of Docker. Anyway, so VM, virtual machines. All right. So the right approach is virtual. So that means it's a very simple thing, right? So let's say if you have this operating system and that operating system can run program 1, program 2, but not program 3. So you can run Java, you can run C, but you're not able to run Python. So what you have to do, you have to install another operating system and you have to ship any of the program like Java or Python, any of the program here in this new environment, right? So you can ship it in very smart way, but the point is this operating system had huge resources, and if you install OS again, you have to assign again more resources, but the actual need by your code is very less. So OS need more resources than compiler, right? So definitely when OS need more resources than compiler, that simply means we're not going to use these things. So again, if you are installing again, and let's say this case will happen in couple of more cases, so you have to create new operating system, these either virtual operating system or something. So that means by using software like a VMware or VirtualBox, we have to use this, right? So let me show you one PPT that I have for you. So I'm gonna use this. So as the PPT, I can check here in the beginning how was the history, right? So if you want to deploy or run any code in the operating system, the first version of this IT industry was this. So we need to purchase a physical server, then operating system, and then that software or application we want to run. So this was the first thing, that if I'm purchasing a laptop, so you know that purchasing a laptop is a bit costly, right? And what was the problem? So deployment. Why so? Because see, if you purchase a new hardware, you will install, you will set up, you will configure, and so many things. So definitely slow deployment time. Huge cost. Purchasing a hardware again and again will be huge cost. Wasted of resources because of the incompatibility, because we are not able to run Java and Python or Java or Python parallel in the same OS, although OS had resources. So it's a waste of resources and very much difficult to scale and vendor location. So we're not talking about these two points as of now, but at least you're understanding first, second and third, right? You're getting my point? So I'll share this PDF with everyone, but if you're getting these 3 points, 1, 2 and 3, just type yes or perfect in the chat window that purchasing a new hardware, it will cost you, it will waste the resources, it will slow deployment, right? If you do this, so just type yes on the chat window so that I can understand yes you are going to use that. So that means you are understanding my point, right? So I got one yes from Jazz. Other people, if you keep doing this, it is going to huge cost and resource. So the solution to this problem is we have find out. So what we have to do now, let's say we purchase a hardware, right? Hardware. On top of hardware we'll install operating system, and on top of operating system we will be installing any software like VMware or VirtualBox, right? VirtualBox, or maybe KVM, anything, any software that can. So what you can do, on top of a single hardware you can create or install OS. You can install another OS, you can install another OS. Although these OS will be requiring more and more CPU RAM, but you just save this hardware cost. So these running operating system, we call them VM, or we call them virtual machine, and this virtual machine is having entire operating system. Then you can put here Python, you can put here Java, you can put here what I say C, if they are not compatible enough. So this time or this technology in the market we known as virtualization, right? Virtualization, we call this virtualization, and this is the discovery by this. So if you compare number one, this was a very slow process. Now by using hypervisor based virtualization, so see, we have this physical server, then operating system, then hypervisor. When I say hypervisor, means I'm talking about the product like VMware or VirtualBox or KVM. So these products are hypervisor, right? And then on top of it you are installing another operating system, and where you are shipping your application, another operating system, and this entire setup we call it VM, virtual machine. So on one physical server can contain multiple applications, and each application run in a virtual machine. So these operating system are nothing, they are virtual machines. So we shifted from first to second, right? And if you talk about the benefits, see, better resource pooling, that means, and one physical machine divided into the number of VMs, because see, one physical machine is divided into number of VMs, and easier to scale. VMs are in cloud or rapidly going pay as per use, right? So this is what you can understand from this PPT. But there's a one more point. These are the benefits, but if you talk about the limitation, what are the limitations? Still, each VM still requires CPU, storage and RAM and entire operating system, right? So here is the thing that you have to understand. The limitation is each VM, each virtual machine will require CPU, storage, RAM and OS. When every virtual machine require an operating system, so the story is again same. And we know that we are not looking for entire operating system, because we are only looking for compiler or interpreter or that program that we are interested in. So if we require entire operating system, then again we will be giving more resources than the actual one, right? So if this is my final question from you, are you getting the limitation of the virtual machine? specifically the last one, right? If you are getting it, please type yes or perfect or okay, nice, whatever you want to type. Then we can talk about our new technology, or the one that we are interested in. If you are agree on the point, the limitation of VM is this entire operating system, right? And why we don't want this? Because our compiler interpreter is, not exactly looking for that huge amount of resources that we actually want to use in compiler. Okay, so I'll be coming to your point, why cubes OS are not the recommended one. Wonderful. So that means maximum people are getting the limitations. Okay, so what is the solution to this? So this is right, this is I'll be answering for the question whosoever you are asking in the chat window. But solution to this is containers, right? So the journey started like this. If you want to run a code, you need a physical server, there's hardware, and hardware need entire operating system, and then in operating system you can run your application or code, right? Because of the conflict issue, we discovered a new technology, so that on top of a single hardware, we are installing an operating system first. Then on top of operating system, we are installing a software like VMware or VirtualBox. And then here we are installing again very tiny OS, and OS, right? And these OS having your application or your code here. But this entire operating system is actually require more resources than compiler or interpreter or program. So the solution to this problem is now containers. So our main agenda or main focus from today onwards is containers, right? So these are virtual machines, right? And these are the containers. These are VMs, these are containers. So solution, what was the problem? Still the operating system need entire OS, RAM, CPU, entire, and that is way heavier than the actual need. So how we create containers? So we are going to talk about really in depth containers. So containers can be created by using any of the technology that I'm just listing here, either by Docker or Podman or Rocket or Containerd and many more, right? So how you can create containers? By using any of the software. We are going to talk about the most popular product called Docker, right? But I'm not saying Docker is the only product, but Podman, Rocket and Containerd, these are the products or software, or you can say anything from where we can create containers. About container, as of now I'm not doing any comment, but container will give you the way so that it will be only taking resources that is actually required by your application or your code. So resources taken by container will be almost very much equivalent. So that means if your code need 5 MB RAM, your container will be running in 5 MB RAM. It's quite similar to JVM, Java based virtual machine. Yes, so that will be talking about how the communication is going to happen. So this is my final conceptual thing. So container need actually almost that amount of resources that is actually required by your application or code or compiler, not more than that. So this is very lightweight, very tiny, and very fast. Okay, so if you are agree on this point, that means if you are understanding the thing that I have written in the board, just say yes, so we can talk practically now. Right, we can talk practically now. So waiting for your answer, yes or no. You're getting containers we can create by Docker, by Podman, by Rocket, by Containerd. And if you got this point, just say yes on the chat window. Right, wonderful. So maximum people are getting this. So now it's time for creating containers. Right, time for creating containers. Okay, great. And which software we are going to use? We are going to use Docker. So I'm giving you the software. So let's say first of all we are going to talk about the installation. Right, nice, installation. So if you want to install Docker, and if you have Windows, Linux and Mac, so I'm just telling you all three way. If you have Windows, Linux and Mac, so for Linux I'm going to tell you later on, but for Windows you can use a software called Docker Toolbox, right? And for Mac people, you can use a software called Docker Desktop. So Docker Toolbox link I'm sharing on the chat window, not exactly on the chat window. So this is IP address and /software. So here you have to download the second software, Docker Toolbox, for all Windows people, not for Mac, not for Linux. This is for all Windows people. So I'm just commenting the URL here in the chat, right? So the same IP address that we are using since day one and in the browser. So the URL is exactly http:// you can download it, this one, or I can just Google it, Docker Toolbox. So I'm just checking here, Docker Toolbox, right? So you can check any further link, Docker Toolbox. download right. So that software you can also use. So this is Docker Toolbox release GitHub page, and this is link where you can just click on this setup Docker Toolbox 19.03.exe. So I'm also giving this URL link in the chat window in case you want to download it from here, right? So any of the source you can use. So I've shared both the resources, right? So during the installation process, it's very simple software, right? You don't have to install any VirtualBox or something. So I'll be sharing a video about the same, how to install Docker Toolbox. It's very easy although, right? So let me give you a guideline. During Docker Toolbox installation, you don't have to tick on the VirtualBox. You don't have to tick on the VirtualBox software because VirtualBox is not really required for this. So I'll be connecting you likewise. Okay, so I am just hoping for the same, that you will be downloading this software Docker Toolbox from this link, and then you can easily use that. Fine. Now about Linux, right? So there is another software actually. So Docker Toolbox is for all Windows, people, and for Linux people. So you can assume this as your task if you have Ubuntu, or you have Red Hat, or you have Kali. So how you can install it, just Google it. It's a very simple way although, so it will be there, you can check it, right? Now about some extra thing. So if you want to use Docker product, so Docker is having two versions of it, that is Docker Community Edition and Docker Enterprise Edition, and the most recent version of Docker is 19.x, right? And C stand for Community Edition, E stand for Enterprise Edition. So in the current market, we are going to use Docker CE or Docker EE, but we'll be working on C because it's a free one. So in current IT industry or current market, Docker CE is free, right? So how Docker will be working as of now, so it will be a server client combination. By the way, this Docker product is written in Go programming language, right? So it is written in Golang. So if somebody gonna ask you in what language Docker is built, so it is built on Go programming language, right? So this is your some points that you can note down or maybe can use for future reference, right? Now one final thing, that is a task for today. Right, two tasks are there. You can use your own method. So let's say either you have Linux or you have Mac or you have Windows, anything you have, right? So you have to write two code. The first one is in C. Maybe you can just write two code. The first one is in Python and second is in Java. So I'm writing both the code for you. You can watch this YouTube video later on and then you can decide. So you have to write code in Python and Java in your current OS. Make sure now you want to run or compile or execute all the same, this both the code, but the condition is any of the operating system is not having Python, not having Java installed. They're not having, and you don't have to install although, but still you need to run that code from your system. So whenever you run the code, the output will be there in your screen, right? You don't have to copy this in some online environment and then take that output. So I want whenever you run the code, you don't have Python or Java software installed in your system, but whenever you run the code from your own machine, you have to just click or do something from your own system, then both the code will be running. So I'm just sharing a normal sample code. So let's say I'm going to open my notepad kind of, and I'm writing here Python code. So let's say I'm writing in while true, okay, and no, Docker toolbox you have to install, not Docker desktop. Print hello ad hoc networks, and you have to save this file in your desktop. Make sure you are giving extension, let's say hello.py. Even in Windows, don't make it .text. You have to do it all files. Don't select .text, otherwise it will be .text.py. So this is your first code that is in Python, and another code I'm writing for all of you. This is for them who don't know how to write a Python or Java code. And similarly, so this is my hello.py code, and again I'm writing Java. So although I'm not using this language much, but I have some memories. So let's say I'm creating a class called Devops and simply opening this curly braces, right? And then under the first one I'm using public static void and main function, and then I'm giving simply a string args, and again I'm giving this curly braces open close, right? And then under this code I'm writing while true, right? TRUE, and then after this I'm writing again a curly braces and closing it, and under this while true, right, I'm writing system dot out dot print ln, and here I'm writing, let's say hello world, or simply hello world, right? And I'm just terminating it by semicolon, sorry, after this, right? And if I hope the code is not wrong syntax wise, and I'm saving the same file under my desktop by the name of devops.java, right? So this is for those people who don't know how to write code. So this is just for you guys, right? So I have these two files. The first one, you can rewind the video every time. The first one is code is right here, and the second is code right here. Now the condition is you don't have Python and Java installed in your current OS, right? You don't have Python and Java installed in your current OS. Still, you have to run that code. And let's say if I run like this, as of now, Python space hello.py. So right now Python is there, right? Or I can run Java, C, compile it. I'm not doing that. So you don't have Python and Java installed in the OS, but still I want output when you run from here, right? So that's it. This is for today, and I'll be sharing one assignment. Okay, now because the YouTube channel got changed, so the assignment of the video and some assignment you can find in this new channel, because now we are using this channel. So I'm just sharing the link of this channel, because assignment and installation part of the video I'll be sharing in this channel. So you can just directly go with youtube.com/c and Ashutosh Singh, and here you can find this new channel link, right? And definitely don't forget to like, subscribe and share. You can find Instagram, LinkedIn or Twitter URL from this channel of mine. Okay, so okay, that is it for today. So we'll be sharing. So what is the things I'll be giving? So I will be uploading Docker toolbox installation, Docker toolbox installation video, and some assignment, so that you have to complete by tomorrow. And those videos I'll be uploading on the same channel here. Okay, so all set, I believe. Right, okay, I'll do that. So anyway, thank you so much guys. So let's connect tomorrow. Thank you so much and have fun. We'll be connecting you tomorrow. Have a great day and enjoy, right? So I think we have done with the discussion of Docker. So practically we'll be connecting everything about containers. So we are not having that much to discuss, right? All set. Thank you so much guys. Bye bye and have a great day.